Hello friends, this is David Sami with a Christian Journey. Today we want to talk a little bit about the Genesis chapter 6 and the story of the sons of God. The Bible records three major rebellions that impacted humanity and its civilization. The first one was when Satan tempted Adam and Eve to rebel against God. The second rebellion is Genesis chapter 6. What happened in Genesis chapter 6 and who are these sons of God? Genesis 6 opens up with these verses. When men began to multiply on the face of the land, daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. And on verse 4, the Nephilim or giants were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. What happened? Who are these sons of God? And why did the earth end up to be filled with violence and corrupt in the eyes of God? These are some of the things that we want to look at today. By the way, on this channel, we talk about all things Christian, from theology to philosophy and everything else in between. So if you are interested in Christian topics and Christian discussion, you may want to consider subscribing. But who are these sons of God? There seem to be, again, maybe 3 to 4 views on the identity of these sons of God. But there are 2 primary views. One is that these sons of God are the godly line of Seth that intermarry with ungodly line of Cain. Now the second view is that these sons of God are angelic beings that intermarry with the daughters of men. Now, we don't have time to go into establishing both views and see which one is correct. Just to say that I espouse the second view, that these were angelic beings who intermarry with daughters of men. But if you embrace the first view, the line of Seth and the daughters of Cain, you are in good company. Many men and Bible teachers that I highly respect actually embrace that view. So if that is your view, again, you are in good company. But we're going to present our material from the second view, that these were angelic beings that intermarry with human daughters or human women. Now, how did these angelic beings marry human women? There is a historical book called the Book of First Enoch, which was written in the intertestament period, between the testament. This book gives us more detailed account of what took place at that time. Now, the Book of First Enoch was highly regarded at the time of Christ. As a matter of fact, Jude quotes from the First Enoch because he assumed that his readers are familiar with it. So it was a book that was highly regarded, and many people knew about the Book of Enoch. Even though the First Enoch is not part of the canon, but it is still beneficial for us to read it and see what he has to say, because it was so highly regarded. And it gives us a detailed account of what happened in Genesis 6. The Book of Enoch tells us the motivation behind this angelic union was twofold. One was lust. Even the Bible says that these sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful. They desired them. They lusted after human women. And the second one was they wanted to have progenies. They wanted to have children through these human women. Now, these angelic beings, they knew that what they are intending to do is a great sin. It is prohibited, obviously. But their leader, Samieza, actually make the rest of the group to swear an oath that they bind themselves with an oath to follow through with this, because Samieza was afraid that the rest of them may back out of this, and he would be the only one left that would do this and incur a great sin. So these angels, they knew that what they are intending to do is not right. But nevertheless, they went through with it. But how did they make humanity to intermarry with them? What did they do? What did they offer? The book of Enoch mentions they made visible the mysteries of eternity that are in heaven, which humans pursue and want to know. So, in other words, we give you, human beings, technology and sciences which you desire in exchange for your daughter's hand in marriage. This was the transaction. And to a certain extent, these angels took a risk, because what if human beings did not follow through with this or did not agree to make this deal with them? But I think they had quite a bit of time to observe humanity and know what humanity is interested in. And we will give you technology and sciences, again, in exchange to marry your daughter. They introduced humanity to make weapons of war, mining and craftsmanship, introduced women to wear makeup and become more seductive, enchantment, astrology, and other sciences. You know, we typically think of the ancient civilization as very primitive, that we gradually advanced in sciences and became more sophisticated. But this may not be completely accurate. You know, when we consider the megaliths that are found in South America, the pyramids in Egypt, they all testify to an advanced knowledge of engineering and science. Where did they get this from? Maybe the conclusion that we are led to believe might not be accurate. This gradual climb of humanity to become more sophisticated. Maybe in reality, before the flood, the civilizations became very advanced, but all those knowledge get lost in the flood, and humanity had to start from the beginning again. Because to build those megaliths and those pyramids in Egypt, those were not simply made by primitive humans. They must have had a good knowledge and technology in order to build those monuments. So maybe again they had very sophisticated civilization, but it all gets lost in the flood. Now these angelic beings, they taught their own families other knowledge, sorcery, enchantment, the use of drugs, all things to promote contact with the spiritual realm. And human civilization became infused with angelic technology and sciences, and were led astray. The book of Enoch actually tells us that as a result, much ungodliness and prostitution happened among human beings. This is why the world became filled with violence and corrupt in the eyes of God, because the technology that they introduced to humanity in its fallen state began to degenerate humanity and corrupt humanity. But this union of angelic beings and human women, it produced a hybrid race that we call the giants or the Nephilim. These were hybrids, a race of being that God never sanctioned to exist, never meant it to come into being. And these giants eventually become the rulers of humanity, and they bring humanity into their servitude. The humans, according to the book of Enoch, the humans were to give their produce to these giants. And if they were unable to provide for them, these giants would attack humans and would eat their flesh and drink their blood. In other words, they were cannibals. They would feed on human flesh. Now, why would God allow something like this to take place? Now, some people, again, speculate that the Lord gave the dominion of this world to humanity. And when these angels, they came and made a deal with humanity, they had a legal right to be here. They had a legal right to interact with humanity, because humanity, in essence, agreed to make this deal with them and for them to be here and intermarry with them. This is one school of thought, that why did God allow this to happen? But even though they had the right to be here, the cry of destroyed people, the harshness of the treatment of people by these giants and these Nephilim, it went up to heaven. And even some of the archangels made the appeal to the Lord to bring an end to this. And this would ultimately lead to the flood of Noah. But what is interesting is, in the New Testament, we read about unclean spirits or demonic beings. Where do these beings, unclean spirits and demons, where do they come from? We usually lump all of these together as fallen angels, but that may not necessarily be correct. In the book of Enoch, again, tells us that when these giants died, evil spirits went out from their bodies. They will be called evil spirit. These are the spirits of giants that die. Their spirits would not go to heaven, but they would remain on earth, because they were conceived on earth. Half a spirit being, half human. They would roam the earth, and their spirit was called evil spirit, unclean spirit. They would be destructive and would rise up against men and women. Demons or unclean spirits are the spirits of these giants. Demons are not fallen angels, but they are the spirits of these hybrid beings. And they will have all the fleshly desires: thirst, wanting to eat, intimacy. They would have all fleshly desires, but they would not be able to fulfill them because they no longer have a body. But this may explain why demons want to inhabit a body. They want a host to be able to fulfill their desires through. But they will not be judged until the last day of great judgment. In other words, God has given them a certain number of years to operate on planet Earth. And their day of judgment would be on the last judgment day, where God would deal with them. So they have been given a time to operate and roam the earth. This may also explain why the demons ask Jesus if he has come to torment them before their due time or before their time, because they knew that they have certain number of years to be able to be freely roam around the earth. And why Jesus has come? Did he come here to destroy them or punish them before their time? So this is a question that we see come up in the Gospels. But the Lord pronounces their eventual judgment, that these spirits would all get destroyed on account of wrongdoing to human beings. But what is interesting, again, I don't want to delve into this too much, but I have a book called The Pink Horse, which is written by a naval intelligence officer. According to this book, we have known about aliens from way back, and even during the time of the President Eisenhower, that our government has been in touch with alien beings, and we actually have made a deal with them that we would allow them to abduct certain number of humans in exchange for technology. Now, whether this would be accurate or not remains to be seen. But what is interesting, we are hearing more and more about aliens, about UFO. It seems like this subject, which was tabooed and highly guarded, that they always made fun of anyone who discussed about UFOs or alien, that it is gradually becoming more and more on the surface. And we are hearing about UFOs and aliens. And I don't think it's an accident that this subject is becoming more and more to the forefront, that maybe in near future there may be a disclosure that indeed there are aliens, there are beings from another civilizations that are here, they have visited us, and whatever the narrative will be. But could the same scenario present itself again? Now, regardless of how we view the end time scenarios, Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be the time that he would return. So could we see similar scenarios present themselves? I don't know. And again, I have studied the subject, not intensively, but it would be interesting to see what is in future and what future has in store. But regardless of what it will be, we want to remain true to the Lord and true to the Bible. Ultimately, what the Bible says is the truth, and we can judge things with what the Bible says. So if we come across any information that contradicts the Bible, we reject those, because ultimately we are living in the days of deception, that we can easily be manipulated and misled. But as long as we remain true to God and remain true to His Word, we would not go very far off track. So, just some thought on the Genesis chapter 6, but Lord willing, next time we want to look at the third rebellion that impacted humanity and its civilization. So until then, may the Lord be with you, may He watch over you, may He keep you and make His face to shine upon you. This is David Sami with a Christian Journey.